Welcome to Built-in CV.
Welcome to Built-in CV with Daniel H. Brumer, founder of CV Business Law. Daniel is a California business attorney who advises entrepreneurs, operators, family businesses, and growing companies on contracts, business decisions, real estate matters, and outside general counsel needs. I'm Shameika Rhymes, and today we're talking about why Daniel chose to build a business law practice focused on the Coachella Valley. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Before we talk about the Coachella Valley business community, what path brought you into business law?
Great question. It was a pretty interesting path that brought me into business law. I actually started my career in local government in Los Angeles, working in real estate and land use development. And then I studied law at Columbia Law School in New York and had the opportunity to really study under some of the most brilliant corporate law minds in the country. And I was very fortunate for that. And then after law school, I was very fortunate to work at a large law firm in their corporate department and their mergers and acquisitions practice. After that, I started practicing in a smaller firm. And as I was representing more small businesses, more family offices, my practice broadened quite a bit from the strict real estate transactions and corporate law transactions to be more of a holistic business law advisor. And so now for all of my clients, that's what I do is I really handle every aspect of business law. Business law means so many different things. And so that was my path.
So thank you for sharing that. So you decided to build CV Business Law around the Coachella Valley. So why was that the right focus for you?
I moved out here to the Coachella Valley about 5 years ago, and I really, really love this area and really moved here with great intention. And the more I lived here, the more important it became to me to serve and represent the business community here in the Coachella Valley. It's such a wonderful place to live, and it has got such a great community, and it's a great place to do business. And frankly, it is a community that has evolved and grown quite a bit over the years, but is continuing to grow and continuing to evolve. And so I found it important to start CV Business Law to focus on the businesses here in the Valley and their specific needs. Here in the Valley, we sometimes dance to the beat of our own drum, and there's a very specific community feel out here. And I wanted to gear my practice towards that specific area.
When I hear Coachella Valley, of course, I'm thinking of the Coachella Festival. So I'm sure, I have to ask, do you ever go to the Coachella Festival?
I don't go to the Coachella Festival. I love the fact that it's here. You'll get different answers from different locals when you ask about the Coachella Festival, but it actually is a bit indicative of, from the outside, the Coachella Valley has or is known for its festivals. It's known for its resorts, its hospitality, and its retirement community, frankly. And a lot of folks outside the Valley don't really know how much more depth that there is in this community. And so it's great to share that with people. My current clients are all over the country, all over the world. And it's great to share with them where I sit locally and practice locally. So it's really important for us to have those festivals and to have that hospitality industry. It really does drive the Valley. But there is so much more here that we're really happy to introduce the rest of the world to.
What stands out to you about the Coachella Valley business community compared with the other markets that you've worked in?
The Coachella Valley business community is different in that it is really driven by its small and medium-sized businesses, its entrepreneurs and its solopreneurs. One of the things that I pleasantly found when I moved here was that despite there being a lot of wealth out here in the Valley, it is really, the heart of the Valley is really in its middle class and its small and medium-sized business owners. And there's a certain type of grit, a certain type of tough toughness that you need to live out here in the desert. And I think the same qualities and characteristics you find in the business community here. A lot of folks are first generation Americans who've started their own businesses and are growing those businesses. And it's really, there's a toughness to the business community here that I think is really special.
What do you find yourself advising these entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, just the businesses in general? What do you find that is seems to be uh, the biggest thing they need help with?
What I find with the small business community is, frankly, a lot of them, the first help they need is really understanding the services that are out there for business owners and where business owners might be able to utilize the service of an attorney in a proactive way. I think the first inclination is to wait until something goes wrong, or until there's a problem, to have to involve the lawyer. Always trying to avoid um, having to hire and pay a lawyer.
What do you see that the small businesses in Coachella Valley that they need the most advisement for? Like, or like contracts, or what do you see as like the biggest thing they need?
I think the biggest thing first that they need is to trust the advice that they're getting and to find an advisor that they can really relate to, who can relate to their business and who can understand their business. And somebody who's really there with them for the long haul. And representing a lot of small businesses, I oftentimes become just a general outside counsel to businesses who need just day-to-day advice. And it doesn't necessarily need to be, the kind of engagement that breaks the bank, in terms of, paying legal fees, but really to socialize the business community, to appreciate that there are advisors out there who are there to help them from the beginning. Um, and frankly, that some of the decisions that they make at the very beginning are the most critical in helping the business thrive and helping prevent things from going bad a little later on.
What conversations should start happening early when a business is being built from the ground up? Like, what should they be really looking at instead of something that they may see as an optional thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. The first thing, believe it or not, one of the first conversations you want to have when you're starting a business is, how are you going to own that business? And we'll get into that maybe in later episodes, I'm sure. But really, business ownership is a critical idea to contemplate before you start your business. And that involves conversations with both an attorney and it involves conversations with a tax advisor. And so what I see a lot and what I advise my clients a lot when we first meet about starting a business or starting a new venture of some sort is to have those conversations about the structure, about the foundation. You think about building a house, you need to lay that strong foundation without which, the structural integrity of the house might be compromised. And the same goes with any business. You need to have that conversation about what the idea is, where you believe the business is going, and anticipate the different issues that are going to come up through the life cycle of the business.
Now, let's throw the kink in there. What if this business is being built with friends? What should that conversation look like?
The conversation should always be friendly, but it should be realistic. And a lot of times people think that they have to go to the lawyer to, plan for the worst or to plan for something bad that might happen. And oftentimes that's an uncomfortable conversation to have, especially people who are starting business with a friend or with a family member. But the way I see it is getting that early advice is not necessarily to prepare for the worst or to prepare for something bad that's going to happen, but that conversation is something you should have to prepare for your success. What is going to happen when our business starts to thrive? And there's a whole host of issues that may come up in the future. Again, not just if business is going bad or not just if there's a disagreement among partners, but sometimes success breeds differences of opinions. And those are conversations that are really important to have early on. And I think the earlier you have those conversations and the more you understand that, being in business is different than being a friend or family, and it could have strains on that family relationship or that friendship. It's really good to have those conversations early on to make sure that not only are you protecting the integrity of your business, but also we hope the integrity of your friendship or your familial relationships with whom you're starting the business.
I think that's great advice. So, how does advising a hospitality business, a family business, or even a local operator in Coachella Valley differ from advising companies in other environments?
It's a great question. Yeah, I've practiced in big cities in New York and Los Angeles, um, and it's a much different way of practicing when you're dealing with multinational companies, even multinational hospitality companies or restaurant companies. It's a little bit different here in the Valley. Um, we're so driven by our small and medium-sized business community. Everything is much more local and so much more personal. For so many small business owners here, this is their life's work. This is their life savings. This is their family for them. And so I find representing the hospitality businesses and the entrepreneurs out here, I find it's a much more personal relationship that we develop. And when I'm meeting with my restaurant clients, we're meeting in their restaurant. Everything is really got a local flavor, a local feel to it, and it's really a great environment to practice in.
You get a discount on the food?
Unfortunately, I don't get many discounts on food.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. What usually changes in a business once legal guidance becomes genuinely valuable instead of something that the owner sees as just something optional?
Interesting question. I would maybe phrase it a little differently to say that um, legal advice doesn't become necessary versus optional. Legal advice is, I think, necessary from the get-go. It really is just a question of what an owner um, can afford and what an owner is really interested in tackling up front. Obviously, starting a small business, starting a new business isn't easy and takes money. And a lot of times people think that they don't have enough funds or capital to afford the legal advice, which most of the time isn't the case. Um, but it's really something that it is not optional versus mandatory. It's really just a matter of when the business owner or owners, can get comfortable with seeking out that legal counsel and spending a little bit of capital to hopefully protect a long-term investment.
Let's just say I'm a business owner and I'm coming to you for a consultation. What does that first consultation or the only consultation look like?
Well, it really kind of looks like what we're doing right now, and that's just a conversation about getting to know each other, learning each other's background, getting comfortable with that interpersonal relationship. Because I think, especially for smaller businesses, it needs to be a very personal relationship. You're going to rely on me for very difficult questions and guiding you through some very difficult situations. And it's really important that I know as much as I can about you, your background, your business as it stands now, and your business as you envision it in the future. So the first consultation is really just um, getting to know each other.
Okay.
And then after that consultation, we get into kind of a game plan of what services you may need and how we can map out your process going forward.
Okay. Well, as this show gets underway, what do you hope local entrepreneurs, operators, and business owners take away from these conversations?
First and foremost, I hope folks take away a sense of community. I'd really like to build um, that sense of business community here in the Valley. There are so many great people here doing so many great things, um, and just to have a space to discuss the issues that so many business owners are going through that they may not know that other business owners are going through, or they may not know about resources that are available to them. So really trying to create a sense of community for people to be able to engage in that business community that we have out here and strengthen their own skills and strengthen their own relationships in the community.
Okay. Well, it has been a pleasure getting to know you today, Daniel. Thank you for breaking this down exactly what you do.
Thank you very much. It's been great talking to you.
Well, that is it for today's episode of Built in CV with Daniel H. Brumer. If you'd like to learn more about Daniel and CV Business Law, visit cvbusinesslaw.com. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review if you found this episode helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.